Daleen, do you have to, okay, do we have to start recording? Yes.
No.
Okay, we call the meeting to order. That's item number one. Item number two, introduction of John Igneri and Chris Manella. I know both of these guys, and I guess Mr. Igneri, welcome back. Are you now on your own?
I'm on my own. I'm no longer an alternate for the council president.
Well, it's very good to have you back. And Chris Manella, I've known for over 20 years. I can't believe he said yes. I'm pleased as punch. Um,
I recognize his face.
Oh,
yeah, it's from the post office.
I don't know if it's possible, but you could remember him from the city of Norwalk. He was employed there a long time ago.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Um,
started 11 years ago. It's 14 years ago.
Yeah,
Before then.
1991, 2. So it's been a while.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome
Welcome
to
back,
both of
John and
you.
Mary.
Yeah,
Welcome as a full member. And I believe Neil is the council appointed by Tom Livingston, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. So
Is that right? Yeah.
it's really good. It's really good to have a core group of people who we won't be dependent upon an election to fill the seat. So that's good. So, well, anybody else want to say anything about either one of these guys? You guys want to say anything about yourselves?
No, said enough.
I'm good.
Okay. 5:32. Item number 3, is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the WPCA held on May 16th, 2022
So moved.
by Mr. Igneri? Any comments, questions, corrections? No. I just had one. I think Lewis Clark wasn't there. We said goodbye to him in April, didn't we?
I think so.
Daleen?
I could check. I don't remember, but I'll go back and look.
Okay. Otherwise, I didn't say anything else. Anybody else? Okay, we'll call a question. All in favor of approval of the meeting minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand, please. I'll read it off. Bovee, Ostafine, Manella, Igneri, Smith, Constantine. That's unanimous. Thank you. Item number 4, election of officers and secretary for the period July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. Is there a motion to elect officers?
So moved.
Okay, do you have anybody in mind? Do
You for chairman.
propose? Okay, Ostafine for chairman. We are short a vice chairman. Mr.
Okay.
Igneri.
You are good. Are you suggesting me? That's fine.
Okay, am I allowed to do that as the chairman to nominate?
I would be happy to do it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Bovee nominates Mr. Igneri. Thank you. Are there any other nominations or superseding nominations? No.
Any other
How
office?
about the secretary has traditionally been Daleen? Somebody like to nominate Daleen?
I'll nominate Jolene.
Ms. Smith nominates Daleen. That's a full slate. Are there any other comments, questions, suggestions? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Bovee, Ostafine, Manella, Igneri, Smith, Constantine. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. It is 5:35. Contract operation reports.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello, Mr. Marcin. Please
Good evening.
just keep going.
All right, I will. Thanks, everyone. It was a pretty quiet month, but we did get a lot done. The collection system team did over 3 miles of TV inspection. They cleaned over 2 miles of sewer, inspected 109 manholes, and they also spent considerable amount of time on the hotspots. They completed 3 miles of the hotspots and 2 miles of the SLRAD inspections. It was a very productive month for our collection team. We also had a number of tours in May. And in the beginning of June, we had students from the McMahon School, which came by on two days in a row, bunch of probably 40 students in total, which was very always a good part of the tours. It's good to see the kids interested, and there was a lot of good questions and good dialogue with the students. We also had several members of the WPCA join us during the month, and members of the City Finance Department during a separate visit. So we love to show off the facility, and really thought the tours went really well, and we had some excellent questions from our guests. So we encourage everybody to come and visit us, and we're happy to bring you through whenever you're available.
John, can I just interrupt and just ask if there are any new members here at the WPCA who would like a tour? I know I've got a couple council members that weren't able to join us that last time. So maybe we could set something up in the next month or so.
Yes, I'd like a tour, please.
It's really great, Neil.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Terrific. Yeah, and we're ready at any time. So just reach out through Ralph, and we'd be happy to have you come down.
Okay, great.
Great.
We also had a staff meeting and a year 2 cookout. May 18th was the 2-year anniversary of our contract with the city of Norwalk. So we had a good cookout with our team, had some really good food, and I know several of the representatives from the city were able to join us for that too. So that was a great day. We also got 47 industrial pretreatment inspections completed, and continued to take the Stamford septage while they're completing their construction. We were in compliance with all permits for the month of May, and the nitrogen was reduced to 480 pounds per day for the month, which lowered the annual average for another consecutive month. Otherwise, nothing too eventful. As I mentioned, we had a lot of progress on the collection system during the month. We did have a Ralph, if you'd like, would you like me to segue into the Strawberry Hill break that we had, even though it was in June?
Yes, please. Mhm.
Okay, great. So if it's okay, I'd like to share my screen, and I can just give you folks a quick map of what happened here. So this was just last Wednesday evening, actually. We got a report of a water leaking on Strawberry Hill Ave, and can you all see this picture?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is right outside of Norwalk High School. You can see Strawberry Hill Ave comes up this way. And this is a force main from the Westport Ave pump station, which is up just off to the upper right corner of your screen. And that pump station pumps through a 12-inch force main, which basically comes down County Street. It turns this corner and then comes up Strawberry Hill Ave. It goes all the way up to the top of Strawberry Hill Ave, where it then discharges into a gravity sewer, and it continues on to the treatment plant by gravity. So this is one of our larger force mains and longer force mains. And we experienced the break right down here, which is that back entrance to the high school, right at the intersection of that entrance to the high school and Strawberry Hill Ave. It was right in the middle of the street. And the water drained down Strawberry Hill Ave and went into a storm catch basin, and ultimately made its way to the Indian River, which is a tributary to the Saugatuck River, ultimately in Westport Harbor. So it was a good, thought it was an excellent team effort right from the notification of it from folks in the field to our team's response. We were able to shut down the pump station and haul all of the wastewater using septic trucks. Mike Septic provided 3 trucks, and we had 2 other trucks from another subcontractor, McVac. So we were running 4 or 5 trucks throughout the whole process so that we could then drain that 12-inch pipe all the way down the hill and investigate the cause of the failure. And I'm going to share a different picture now with you, and we can see. I'm going to stop. So the repair itself ended up being pretty tricky. Can you all see that picture?
Yes,
Okay. So what you're looking at the top of the screen is a gravity manhole. And this was flow that was going from the left to the right, down the hill to the pump station. The black pipe on the very, very bottom is the 12-inch force main that's pumping up the hill. And this is after the repairs that we made. And then the green pipe that's going into the manhole is the lateral that's coming from the high school. And what we discovered when we eventually excavated everything was there was a patch that was placed on the original 12-inch force main right here, likely when this lateral was installed, which had ultimately failed and caused a leak in this part of the force main. So we were able to cut out about 8 feet of that 12-inch force main, install a new piece of pipe, install the 2 couplings, and then replace the lateral, and then backfill everything. The team was able to get that done. We started the dig at 4:30, and the road was paved and ready to go at 5 a.m. the next morning.
well,
Correct.
So it was like I said, a good team effort. AJ Penna contractors did an outstanding job, and it was a good effort in communication with DPW and the mayor's office and Ralph's team to make sure we got all the proper notifications out and to prevent any problems. So I wanted to show you that. If anyone has any questions, just Barbara, I see your hands up.
Yeah, no questions, but I would just like to commend you, John and Ralph and your team for the work that you did there. I did not hear a single complaint. And there were the middle school graduations going on, and I don't know, it was just handled so well. You did such great work, and to not hear one complaint about that is a big thing. So great job.
Thank you.
I agree with what Ms. Smith said. I happened to be there for the middle school graduations. I didn't even smell anything.
Great.
Excellent.
I live there and it went well.
Even better.
Great.
That's wonderful. I mean, PD, DPW, multiple city departments were involved, and overall it went as best as it could for that night. So I know I'm very happy with the team.
Yep. Likewise.
I'm just curious. You said there was a patch. Was there like a dresser coupling that started leaking? Or what? I don't understand what kind of patch you could put on a force main except for some sort of a collar.
That's what it was. It was a dresser with a whole number of clamps on it. Probably, I don't know, what was there, 20 clamps on there, Ralph? Maybe.
It was like 2 foot
Okay.
long.
Yeah.
What I'm guessing, when the school probably did an upgrade at some point in early 2000s, and they ran that new sewer line, the lateral to the manhole, the contractor probably scraped the force main and did some
Yeah.
damage at that time, made a
Yeah.
repair, and probably down the road, just in the same trench, that's where the force main decided to leak a little bit. We actually kept the section of force main that we cut out. I'm actually going to have Wright Pierce send it to corrosion probe and just test it, just to see if there's anything. Why did it fail? Is there something in the material age? We don't believe that's the case. It's cast iron. It was 5/8 inch thick. It was in really good shape of outside and inside the pipe, but it's from 1958, 59, that force main. Like I said, we're going to have it tested just to make sure we're not missing something, but we just think it's a fluke, just because there was excavation back in the early 2000s, and it took this long a time for it to ultimately have a failure. but it wasn't a complete, it was holes in the pipe, basically what ended
Yeah.
up failing. So majority of the flow
Right.
continued to be conveyed down to the gravity line. What we estimated was about 10% or 100 gallons per minute that was leaking out from the force main.
That's
Yeah,
a
it
great
wasn't-
idea.
It wasn't a longitudinal crack, like it wasn't a crack along the top of the pipe going long ways. It was almost like the pipe was pitted. And I know from the water worlds, which is the same thing as a sanitary sewer force main, obviously one's potable, one's not. The pitted holes, because you could see, and I'll share some video too at a later date, where it was kind of coming out like a little geysers, and that could be corrosion over time along the cast iron walls. Again, just relating it to the water main experience, and John, Ralph, I'm sure your experience too, and even Chris as well. I did want to give a kudos to the team. When I found out about it, the team was already responding, and that's how quickly everything just kind of transpires. So when you have a good system in place, and Darren, I know you know, Mr. Chair, from your public works agency too, and the town of Darien, when you have a good system in place and the right people on it, it's seamless to the point where I just barely heard, and by the time I heard about it, it was already being responded to. So, and Ralph's absolutely right. The hole was excavated in John about 4:30 p.m. and everything was backfilled, patched, rolled, and cut square nice to the pavement by 5 o'clock a.m. And I think that was, they made the repair they could have done in their sleep. They had all the right people there. PD was a big help, and of course, it has to happen the night of the two events that are being held at Norwalk High School and people parking at Narragansett. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better night, right? Because that's just the way it goes. But it's awesome to see the system in place. It's always getting down to these repairs take longer than the actual repair itself. That tends to usually be the shutdowns on a water supply system or on a pump station system, and digging down to it oftentimes the way you run into your problems rather than the actual repair. That's the easy part to get to once you find it and locate it. But John, kudos to the Veolia team, and Ralph, kudos to WPCA and DPW. You all make it look very easy. So thank you very much.
Question out of curiosity. You said the force main is a 5-inch pipe, but the lateral 12 inch?
12-inch, yeah.
Okay.
The thickness is 5/8 inch thick,
Okay.
the wall,
Right,
How-
12 inch.
How big is the
inside,
lateral coming out of the school?
6 inch.
6.
6 inch. Okay.
You should probably save the pipe too.
Yeah.
DEP is gonna ask you, did you do any force main inspections? Well, you have a real live section now. That's like invaluable. You wouldn't be able to get it and without destructive testing. Now you have it.
Darren, since you brought that up, we're actually working with the Veolia team, their resources, to see what technologies are out there to kind of do some kind of inspection of force mains without completely shutting down pump stations. So I know John's got his collection system guru on it, and we're looking at some ideas, how to better understand our force mains without digging them up or shutting down, and really, trying to, find which ones are at a higher risk than some of the others. So.
I've heard of some municipalities actually cutting coupons.
Yeah.
And doing a tap, and then, man, that's just horrible.
Yeah.
To hurt a force main just to take a look at it, so.
Yep. What we've done with our 2018 Green Mountain project was the gravity lines immediately downstream of force mains. We reviewed the TV inspections, and a lot of those areas we lined, because you do get the hydrogen sulfide once it's the gravity zone. It really breaks down the receiving gravity pipe. So before we have those type of failures, we've been addressing it with Green Mountain and the team. So definitely something to watch after.
Yeah, Ralph, your team did a good job, and John too. And a lot of people underestimate the level of effort that goes into that. I mean, besides the communications, but there was other things happening behind the scenes. That flow down Strawberry Hill goes by gravity down, then back up through a force main, but that goes to the Westport Avenue pump station, right? So you still have all the sanitary sewage coming from the private property and city properties to that Westport Avenue pump station. So I was very impressed with Ralph and John Marson and their teams, that they were able to figure out how many trucks they needed to basically be on standby at the Westport Avenue pump station, so that when the underground, I'll call it, the technical term is a wet well, but basically it's just an underground structure that stores X amount of gallons of sewage before the pump kicks on and has to pump it up Strawberry Hill, right? So it goes into the pump station with gravity and then it goes out under pressure, i.e. hence the reason why you need the pump to go up the hill. So, you know, the thing to figure that a lot of people forget is that wet well is still filling up and people are still flushing their toilets. So there was no interruption to service, which is fantastic, especially during a water main break or a force main sanitary sewer break. But, you know, they calculated very quickly the amount of trucks they needed so that there would always be a vac truck there to basically suck out the sewage, leave, have the next truck come, leave, go dump at our, or go discharge at our wastewater treatment plant, come back. So I think that was 6 trucks, combination of Veolia's trucks and a few other private haulers. But that was a critical item, because if that was not done, then we'd have problems at the pump station and there'd be sewage all over Westport Avenue potentially. So thank you for the foresight, John and Ralph, for thinking ahead, because that, you know, it wasn't just a gravity sewer main on a side street. It was a pump station on a very busy avenue. So
Yep.
Good forward thinking and planning.
Thank you, Anthony. One other thing I wanted to point out was, you know, for those of you that came through the tours and when we talked about our mobile SCADA capabilities now, we were able to utilize that technology, and Ralph's smiling because as we stood over the hole and repressurized that force main, we were able to look on our phones and see which pumps were pumping, how much flow was coming from the pump station, and what the wet well levels were right in the field. So we were able to apply that new SCADA toy, I guess, if you will, or feature. And it really came in helpful in the field in this emergency situation. So
No, John, you were next to me and Ralph when the pump was off. Obviously, when we're doing our work and making the repair, you and Ralph were talking. You said, "Oh, the water level just went up 3 inches," and then you guys both looking at your phone, smiling like 2 kids at Christmas. So
yeah.
obviously, listen, that's very good toy nonetheless. But I remember hearing that you said, you know, because that was important, because for everybody that's watching or listening, we wanted to make sure that we were pumping out at a rate that did not that was faster or at least equal to the amount that the sewage was coming into the pump station. So had we not been able to pump out as fast or as quickly as possible, the water level or the sewage level would rise in the wet well, and then we'd also have a potential problem, right? Because if we needed more trucks and we couldn't get more trucks, well, you know where the sewage would go at that point. So
Yep.
that was came in handy, John. Thank you, John and
did.
Ralph.
Okay, well, does anyone have any other questions? The last item is just the Orchard Street work. We're just finishing it. We had a little curveball at the end with one of our contractors, so we had to readjust some of the scope with who was doing what, but I think we've got that all ironed out, and we should be able to move forward fairly soon on that job. Now, it's been going on forever, but it's a very complicated job. There's a lot of public interface, a lot of traffic control, a couple of excavations to interconnect. So we want to make sure we have everything absolutely right before we begin. And that's all I have for tonight.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to go and switch over to second page reports. Item A, 6A is the typical Munis report, copies including the board package. For Chris and new member, Neil, typically we don't go through any detail. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask and we'll try to explain the financial side depending on what the question is. But for tracking purposes, everything's tracking the way that staff and finance sees it. So no questions. I'm going to go right into WPCA projects under 6B. And item 1, collection, sanitary sewer system rehab, various locations. Included on this call is Karina Macy from Jacobs Engineering. She's going to do a presentation of the project over the last few years, what we've been working on with Green Mountain. What we're trying to start doing with the WPCA board is bring in a visual, do a mini presentation on projects, do a PowerPoint, show video, show pictures, and that's what she's here to do.
All right. Thanks, Ralph, and thanks for everybody for having me. Just give me a second to share my screen. I'm not used to Zoom. So, let's see. All right, there we go.
Karina, I can't see it yet.
Oh,
the screen.
okay,
Karina, go ahead and open it and then share your screen.
how's
There it
that?
goes. Yes.
Okay. All right. Happy I figured that out. So I'm here to talk about what we call the sanitary sewer improvement project. And I work for Jacobs, who is the design engineer for this project. And you guys know it as the contract 2018-2. So just some background on the city of Norwalk's collection system. We service about 70,000 people in Norwalk, Wilton, and Westport. We have over 200 miles of sanitary sewer, 22 pump stations, over 6,000 manholes, and over 6 miles of force mains. We have 2 major siphons. And when we began this project in 2016, you had over 75% of the collection system PACP coded. So that's CCTV inspections, but with the PACP coding, so it makes reviewing videos and getting their likelihoods of failures easier. And now that number is a lot higher, but that's where we started in 2016. So basically, when we start looking at projects in the collection system, as you can see, these bubbles is kind of what my brain feels like, trying to figure out what the problems are. Because there's a lot of issues that go on in a collection system. Do you have fog issues, debris, deformed sewers? How are your force mains, broken sewers, historical problem areas? You have all this information coming at you, and it's really hard to decipher what is the focus area for each collection system, since each municipality is different. From having a lot of meetings with Ralph and the team, and having, at the time, Jacobs was the operator of the plant. So we had some personnel who knew the system intimately. We were able to break down what we were going to focus on. So we focused on the broken and deformed sewers using that PACP coding, likelihood of failures, and then we made consequence of failure matrices. Historical areas, or as you guys call them, hot spots. And then we looked at the force mains and pipes downstream of the force mains to be included into the project. So as you can see, we kind of got our bubbles down into we ended up with a $2.75 million sanitary sewer rehab project. And it targeted 36 pipes, which were part of our likelihood of failure and consequence of failure matrices. And then out of the list of 79 hotspots at the time, we flagged 43 of them for sewer rehab. 13 were put on a watch list, 12 remained on the hotspot list. And then we noticed that 11 of the locations could be removed. And then for force mains, as Ralph had said earlier tonight, they did a lot of CCTV of the pipes downstreams of force mains to make sure they didn't have H2S deterioration or other issues. And then we also put the Marvin Beach force main replacement was designed under this project, but as some of you might remember, there was a major failure before this project was able to get into construction. But having those documents already like 90% designed, they were able to quickly jump on the force main replacement under emergency conditions. So it helped speed in the replacement of that force main. So now we're in the construction phase. And this is a short liner being impregnated. So what got included in our construction project? We had cured in pipe lining, pipe replacement, cementous and epoxy manhole lining, and then short cured in place pipe lining. So you can see on the left, we have the dig repairs, and then on the right, you see them inserting a liner. So something unique about this project is we decided to include additional pipes for repair mid-construction we had a good project team together with the contractor and Jacobs and WPCA. And we knew coming into this project that we weren't able to get all of the pipes that we thought were at risk of failing. We just did the ones that were the best, the biggest, what do you call it? The biggest bang for your buck, kind of, what you could get repaired, you get the ones that are higher consequences off the list. So those were in the original bid package, but then we added more pipes based on a likelihood of failure. And then a lot of the hotspots, we had updated CCTV for them. So we were able to make decisions on if those pipes needed to be lined. And then other sections like the Shorehaven section that you see here is known for infiltration. So that was also added on the list to line, and then also line the manholes to ensure that none of this coastal infiltration was coming into this pump station. And I've heard that this project there's a noticeable reduction in the amount of flow that the Shady Beach pump station is seeing. So definitely a success there. So some lessons learned while we were doing this project. We needed to, we started off with videos from 2016, and then we were adding pipes. So as you can see on the, oh, it moved, but as you can see, the pipes on the left are the old videos, and then the ones on the right are the more current videos. And the pipes deteriorate very fast. So a lot of the pipes that we had originally said we could line, you couldn't line anymore. And by adding more scope to the contractor's work, we were able to avoid pipes breaking and emergency repairs. They do deteriorate within a couple of years. So being able to jump on as many as possible helped avoid major emergency digs. Let's see. Okay, so a summary. So we started off with a $2.7 million project, and now it's at about 5.3 million. And with that extra additional cost, we were able to, we almost doubled our small diameter CIP lining. We added 2,000 linear feet of large diameter lining, and we included some tricky areas like the Smith Street area, which with a large diameter CIP like that, you need a significant bypass. So it was great that we were able to get that done under this project. And we tripled the amount of sewer replacements, and we added some short liners. So we were able to get a lot more done with the contractor. And then, so some project achievements, we were able to target the concerns of the WPCA in a cost-effective manner. We added twice the original scope, and we were able to repair over 20,000 additional feet of pipe. So those are all things that could have been pipe failures around this time. And then pipes that we were able to CIP line instead of doing emergency dig repairs, it can be over a 10 times a cost savings for the client, for WPCA. So being able to line pipes before they need to be dug saves a lot of money. And I think we have right now, it's a $30 a linear foot for 8-inch pipe, and it's $500 per linear foot if you have to dig it. So that's over 10 times a cost saving. And then just some pictures for everyone. So I think this is going to be a video of some infiltration that we took care of actually this month. As you can see coming up, we kind of have it's called a gusher. And this is one of the more severe ones that I've actually seen. So what we did here was actually some cementous grouting. And I'll let you see that for a second. But so we cemented, grouted this, and now we have, so this is, they have to come back and clean this up a little bit, but, so now we have no infiltration here. So that's a big savings for a lot less flow coming to the plant. You know, we're not overflowing our pump stations. So that was a big win there.
Hey, Karina, this is Ralph. I'd just like to add for the board members, we estimated that gusher to be 5 to 6 gallons per minute, which, do the math, 1,440 minutes per day, 365 days per year. You know, we're looking at reducing flow to the plant by over 2 million gallons a year, just for reference.
And then other things we did on this project is some cementous lining. So as you can see, the manhole on the left, we have loose bricks, a lot of dirt and deterioration areas where infiltration can get in. And then on the right, that's the manhole after it's been lined. So it looks like a brand new manhole. So it's a great win when we're able to reduce I&I and reinforce the manhole structures like this. Then we have our CIP lining. I have a couple of these. So take a pipe that's about to fail like this one. And then we have basically a brand new pipe. And this is where you get the great cost savings, because if that was an emergency dig repair, that would have been tens of thousands of dollars, but now we have a brand new pipe for a couple $1,000s. And here's when we have significant root issues. So this is like some of the hot spots that we removed, because you have to come back and keep cutting the roots over and over again. But when you line them, you don't have that problem anymore. So it removed repeat work. So that's a good win too, along with infiltration. And then we have our pipe replacements. So as you can see here, you have a pretty broken clay pipe, and then you replace it with the segments of PVC. So pretty good. We like to avoid dig repairs with the lining, but they're inevitable with some of the pipe deterioration. So we had that under our project as well. All right, any questions or slides you'd like to see again?
I have a question. Is the liner rigid once it sets, once it's
Yep.
put into the pipe?
Yep, so it comes in the liner. Let me see if I can have a picture of them doing that. So the liner starts off as it's like a felt sack kind of. I kind of think of it as a sock. And then they impregnate it with resin. And then they take the impregnated liner, shoot it through the pipe, and then they blow it up. So it takes the shape of the existing pipe. And then the resin cooks. And then once the resin's done cooking, it gets rigid, and it's very strong, just like if you were putting in a PVC pipe.
Oh, interesting.
Yep. So you basically have a brand new pipe when you do the CIP lining.
So the hose pipe could fail or get cut out, disintegrate, and the liner, since it's structural, it's there for hopefully 50+ years.
Yep.
And that water infiltration, is that groundwater or is that seawater, or what is that?
Hey,
That
Karina,
water?
I'll answer this question. So that gusher that we saw, that was about 5 or 6 gallons per minute, that's on South Beach down in Rowayton. And that's tidal area. The pipe's deep, it's always below the tide. So that is groundwater / tide that's trying to come into our pipe.
Got it. Thank you.
I have a question, Karina, it's Barbara. Could you go to the slide with the cost project, the total cost? Yeah, so the original metrics were 2,700,000, and your final were well over 5 million. And obviously this project is well worth the investment. That will save time, money over an extended period of time. But I am curious where the funding came from to make up that difference.
It's all WPCA capital accounts, Barbara. We have, every year we're asking for collection system funding. So it was capital monies for dedicated for collections that was not encumbered, or it was available, it was not encumbered. So we went back to the WPCA board when we found, for example, Smith Street. I can't remember the exact price to do Smith Street. It was like $600,000 for lining and for the bypass. But that came very quickly because the city was moving into an agreement with the head of the harbor project, and was basically, the agreement was that we would not excavate without receiving Connecticut Deep approval before any excavation. And because the condition of the pipe, once that agreement was signed by both parties and submitted to the state, we wanted to get the lining done because of the location and the severity of the pipe. So that's why that work, we jumped very quickly. WPCA board approved use of the funds, and that work was included into the project. What's been great, Green Mountain Pipeline Services is our contractor. All the pricing that we received was from 2018, which they've honored throughout to this year even. So our rates have been excellent. I mean, that's why part of the project was for them to televise certain areas, and then based on the video, come back to us to see if we wanted to include additional lining. So that was some of the stuff that we found with the videos, that why we added it, because if we didn't act or line today, we're probably going to have to dig in a year or two at 10 times the cost.
Okay, thank you very much for that explanation.
You're very welcome.
All right, well, thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank-
Ms. Massey. Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you.
All right, moving along. Item 6B2, collection system master planning. Brandon Caldwell is a consultant that's been working on the master plan for their collection system. A draft plan, which is, we're due to submit to the state of Connecticut by September 30th, a update to our collection system master plan. So in the next couple of weeks or so, the WPCA should be receiving the initial rough draft of that plan. Once we receive the plan, the team's going to review it, and then we're going to provide comments, and we'll go back and forth a little bit with Brown and Caldwell, along with Vero Law, the legal team that's reviewing this, since it is a submission to the state. So that's in progress. Item 3, collection system Wall Street to Knight Street relocation improvements project. I'm actually working with Karina Macy, is the project engineer for this project as well. What we're doing, for those that haven't been on the board, we have a 30-inch pipe, that sanitary sewer pipe, oval shape, that flows underneath 2 Knight Street. So we're relocating it from underneath the building. And in order to do that, we have to build a chamber to allow us to go through a 77 by 112-inch storm drain. So we're able to cut through this by increasing the storm sewer capacity at the location where we're crossing. So that way, the design, I think, is 940 CFS. There is no drop of with the stormwater system because of what we're doing. So our contractor has set up their site. They're continuing to submit and wait for approvals from Jacobs on the geotech side, because we have micro piles that we're putting in. There's groundwater, there's wells for dewatering of the ground. So they're able to excavate and construct this larger chamber around the storm pipe, which then also our pipe then will go through that chamber. So that work is in progress, but like every other construction project, everything is slowed down because you're waiting for materials or, something that's holding everybody up, it seems. Keep moving along. Item 4, pump station projects. We have a 4 pump station project that's been ongoing. Kovacs Construction. We got a good price last year when it went out to bid, just over $4 million. And most of our materials were purchased before a lot of the delays, but there are certain fittings or valves that we're kind of been waiting on, along with some of the electrical components. So even though we got good pricing, the shipping keeps getting extended. So these pump station upgrades will go into early next year versus closing out early later this year. We are hoping Karen Drive, that should be done by the fall. But like I said, the other three will probably go through the winter into early spring. The next item is Pump Station Bell Island Pump Station improvements. This was a mini change order for Kovacs. And what we're doing is we're adding a bypass connection on the force main. So that way, if we do have, well, we actually do have to do some pump work and valve work, which we're ready to do. Once this connection and chamber is in, we're able then to bring down a Godwin pump, pump from the gravity, and then utilize the existing force main with the new pump connection to discharge from the area. And then that will allow the Veolia team to go in, replace a couple of pumps and valves and just the other improvements that they're looking to do at the station. So that's the pump station work that's in progress. Next, we're looking at the treatment plant. Right now, we are making electrical infrastructure improvements there. Phase 1 on the aeration tanks, and that work is ongoing, and we anticipate that work to be completed later this year. EES is the sub under Kovacs, and they are on site. They've actually recently set up temporary power for the ultimately a new truss system, which is going to hold all the electrical above the walkway. So currently all the electrical conduit and wiring is below the walkway grading, but it gets rainwater gets in there. We have shortages. It's just hard to do any work and improvement. So by putting a truss system in, we're able to move all the electrical up and above, out of the way of everybody, and that'll give us a much more robust system. And then Veolia, and then they're going to be doing multiple improvements over the next few years with BNR analyzers, any kind of controls or other additional analyzers that the team feels is critical can go on this new truss system as well. And then the last one is our ongoing skate upgrade phase 3, which we're down to about 12 items right now of equipment from the 1990s that was not really on SCADA. So we're adding monitoring or even set points so that the operations team has more understanding of what's happening at all times, and also flexibility to make sure if they need to make an adjustment, they can do it from the computer versus having to run out and set it locally. Does anybody have any questions on any of the projects?
I just have a comment. I think I should disclose that Kovacs actually works for me as a subcontractor on a project unrelated to the city of Norwalk. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll go right to sewer use bill and appeals and adjustments to date. Is $224,820. The new fiscal year 22-23 bills are out, the tax bills, including the sewer use charges. So, we'll start getting questions, or people will say, hey, I'm still on septic. Why did I receive a sewer bill? So that happens over the next few weeks. And then the last thing is 6D information copies. Speaking of rates, I included a 2021 cost of clean water index from NACWA, which is a organization that the Norwalk WPCA is part of. And basically we participated. I shared the rates, but it's about 10 or so pages of a lot of good information, just comparing sewer charges throughout the United States. And then of course the New England area. So I was trying to see what the average is. It's $551 is the average for a single family residence for wastewater services in the country. Norwalk is at $382 for reference. So the WPCA has done very well at being able to operate continue to invest into his assets and keep rates down for the Norwalk public folks.
With no increase last year.
So if anybody has any questions on this. Oh, sorry, Darren.
That's okay. I just said, and we didn't have an increase last year.
Correct. And I think in Region 1, which is where Connecticut is, it's $986 is the average. So. And then the last item is Deep just sent out the final nitrogen credit exchange for calendar year 2021. Norwalk is number 4, and we're looking to receive $79,077 in nitrogen credits sometime later this fiscal year.
Awesome. Thanks. Anybody have any questions on anything that was said here or not said here? Any questions at all? Okay, we have a quorum. We have concluded our business.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman,
sir. Yes, sir.
I would just like to acknowledge the Bloom family and the Bloom Company and Cops Island Oysters.
Thank
It
you
was-
for that.
It was great to tour their facility. It was the perfect morning out on the water. And it was just it was a wonderful morning.
I'll add to that. It really was a terrific experience going out on the boat. And I know I said this to some of the folks who were there. It's so great for those of you, the people who are doing this work, to keep our waters clean, to see the results of it with the health of the water and the health of the oysters. It was really fantastic. And John, thank you for the recommendation for that was the
Cops Rocks.
Cops Rocks. Oh my gosh, they were so good. My family loved them.
Barbara, if you go on Cops Island website, they have the recipe for those, believe it or not. And they have a bunch of great recipes. So,
Great. I'll look it up. Thanks, John.
sorry, I missed that. I was busy taking COVID tests.
Glad you're feeling better, John.
I didn't get it.
Oh, that's good. Good.
There were 6 people who were exposed and 2 got it. So, but I didn't expose any of you. So,
Anybody else? Anything at all? Nothing. Thank you all for making a quorum and joining in. Is there a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Uh-oh.
The Johns.
Aye.
John.
I defer to Mr. Igneri. No,
Mr.
Mr.
Igneri made
Bovee.
a motion earlier. I think you didn't have one yet, Mr. Bovee.
Okay,
Let's
I'll
to
do it.
Mr. Bovee.
so moved.
Mr. Bovee, it is 6:23. All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
that's unanimous. I'm just gonna call it. Thanks. I'll see you guys on July 18th, I guess.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.
Okay,
Thank
good night.
you.
Stay safe.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you.
Nice
Take care,
holiday.
Chris.